Even though the age of pharaohs has long since passed, there's still much about ancient Egypt that we don't know. There's still so many mysteries that lie beneath the surface of the sand that are simply waiting to be discovered. With every thousand-year-old discovery that comes to light, many more secrets are unearthed that pose even more questions than answers. Many of the discoveries that have been unearthed help to paint a better picture of what life would have been like all those years ago. These days, we have a solid understanding of how these people would have lived and behaved. However, there's still much more than meets the eye when it comes to ancient Egypt. Today, we'll be sharing several incredible discoveries from ancient Egypt that still need to be explained. But before we get into it, be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Mysterious staircase in the desert. There exists an ancient Egyptian staircase that was created by the Egyptians many years ago. However, to this day, the staircase remains unexplained and unexplored. The stairs were carved into the hard foundation stones near the city of Abu Roash. The stairs have left experts puzzled for many years. Most people naturally wonder where they may lead. This is because the stairs seemingly lead to nowhere in particular. Their steps go a short way and then vanish underwater. We don't know who could have carved the stairs here or what purpose they may have served many years ago. As you may expect, a team of historians decided to examine the stairs and follow them underwater. Once they reached the base, they noticed a large area of muddy water that had been covered by shrubs. As one researcher continued to look around for clues, he noticed a large block that had been placed across a trench. His theory is that this area would have originally been covered by other similar blocks. However, as the weathers continued to alter the area over thousands of years, the blocks were either destroyed, washed away, or stolen by looters. Another theory is that these blocks would have been used to help protect the stairs or to keep them hidden from anyone who may wish to cross them without proper permission. One prevailing theory in the historical community is that thousands of years ago, these stairs would have led to an underground system of caves and tunnels. If this is true, there may be an entire network of underground tunnels that have never been explored. This wouldn't be shocking news for many researchers. We know that communities all around the world used to carve tunnel systems into the ground beneath their cities. Some of these tunnels would have been carved out of limestone, with certain civilizations even equipping the underground tunnels with enough resources to grow plants, tend to livestock, and house thousands of people at any given time. These would have often been used to protect themselves from any invaders who may be passing through. If this is true, it's likely that this is why large blocks would have been covering the hidden staircase, because the original creators didn't want any enemies to know about their underground tunnel network. British researcher Andrew Collins claims that if this tunnel system exists, there are likely several species of bats and spiders that have never been discovered that are lurking inside of these forbidden tunnels. We also don't know if the tunnels would have been completely flooded for all these years, or if there may be some sort of chamber installed that would prevent the water from spilling into the tunnels. Until someone's willing to take the plunge and find out, it's unlikely we will ever know. The place of the gods. The city of Abu Ghurab has been shrouded in mystery for thousands of years. We believe the city would have been built around 4,500 years ago and was home to a series of shrines. Two of these shrines were designed to align with the sun and were created to honor the ancient Egyptian god Ra. A platform can also be found in the city, which many people believe would have been used by a high priest. This supernatural platform would have been created so that the priests could communicate with a higher power to gain knowledge about humanity and guidance to lead their people. It's said that the high priest would enter the platform and be visited by disembodied voices of the gods that would speak to them and reveal important information. What's extremely interesting about this platform is that it shares many of its characteristics with portals that would have been used by the native Cherokee Americans. These people settled in North America and are known to have taken part in all sorts of rituals that were designed to please the gods and bring prosperity to Earth. We have reason to believe that the Native Americans would use these rituals to communicate with people whom they believed lived on distant stars in our galaxy. We don't know too much about these rituals or how realistic this idea really is, but the Native Americans truly believed they were contacting the gods. Farmer discovers 2,600-year-old tablet. The story of a farmer who discovered a stone tablet that's several thousand years old spread like wildfire across Egypt and other parts of the world. According to the farmer, he found the tablet near the Egyptian city of Ismailia. This story proves that no matter how hard some historians may search for answers and artifacts, some of the greatest discoveries occur purely by accident. The farmer had been tending his fields when he came across a large slab of stone that was barely jutting out of the ground. As he examined the stone more closely, he could not believe his eyes. As he began to pull the stone out of the ground, he realized that it was covered in ancient hieroglyphs. He wasn't able to make out what the hieroglyphs said, but he was left speechless by this incredible discovery. He called in the authorities, as Egypt is very strict about who can own pieces of their ancient history. After a team of researchers arrived, they got right to work deciphering the old text. It didn't take the team long to determine that the slab came from around 2,600 years ago, making it one of the more modern discoveries that have been uncovered in Egypt. The slab measured around 2.3 meters long, and many of the hieroglyphs appear to have told stories about the Egyptian sun god Ra. Other portions of the text mention the Egyptian king Apries, who had also been immortalized on the slab. Experts say they're still working out a more definitive translation of the slab, but they feel as though they are making great progress. Stargate of the Sumerians. The Sumerian people are often regarded as some of the most mysterious humans to ever live, mostly because they're among the first modern humans to roam the Earth. The Sumerians created one of the first major settlements in world history, but they also had access to incredible knowledge that evaded other settlements for thousands of years. For example, the Sumerians created the first known version of the writing system. Cuneiform writing was unheard of at the time, and many of the symbols and letters that the Sumerians created all those years ago are still being used today, or at least different versions of them are. The Sumerians were highly religious and would often give credit for their countless inventions to the gods. Much of their lifestyle was deeply rooted in religion, and they'd tell stories of various gods that would come down to visit humanity, bringing along gifts of knowledge that would plunge humanity forward thousands of years, such as the invention of the wheel and the plow. The Sumerians also have depictions of an ancient stargate that appears to have helped them interface with the gods. A Sumerian seal shows an image of a god that seems to be entering the earthly world through some sort of mysterious portal. The image shows a god on a staircase surrounded by columns of water. To make the story of the Sumerians even more compelling, they created hundreds of different works of art that show depictions of gods visiting Earth using all sorts of otherworldly methods, including images of what could best be described as flying saucers. Their artwork also shows several images of stars and galaxies, but we don't understand how the Sumerians would have had any knowledge of outer space. After all, not only were they ancient humans, they were literally one of the first groups of humans to roam the Earth, meaning they didn't have access to telescopes. With this in mind, how is it that such an ancient civilization would have known so much about outer space without having any access to modern technology that would have allowed them to view the planets and star systems that they often spoke about in their writings? Göbekli Tepe. The story of Göbekli Tepe is as old as time, almost literally. Göbekli Tepe is estimated to be one of the oldest stone temples in the world, with some researchers claiming that it must have been built around 7,000 years before Stonehenge. The site can be found in Turkey and is filled with several ring-shaped structures that have carvings of animals engraved onto them. If you think this sounds strange, you'd be right, because we have no idea what these structures would have been used for. Considering how old they are, it's impressive that humans would have been able to create such amazing works of art. Though back then, rarely did humans create something if it didn't serve a functional purpose. So what would these strange structures have done all those years ago? Two pillars are located in the middle of the rings, and they're placed in a way that makes them resemble an archway. If this is true, could they have served as a portal to another world? If this is the case, the crude drawings of animals on the rings could have helped the locals identify which portal would take them to which destination. However, it would be pretty far-fetched to claim this for sure. What makes the area even more interesting is that, much like Stonehenge, it's located in a key location where ley lines meet. If you haven't heard about ley lines, they're essentially a series of lines that connect important locations throughout history. It's been theorized that these lines may serve some sort of ethereal purpose, but this hasn't been confirmed. Some researchers seem to believe the T-shaped columns would have originally been stargates that were built around 12,000 years ago. However, until more information is found, we just don't know for sure. 4,200-year-old queen. The ancient Egyptian city of Saqqara, often described as the City of the Dead, has been the focus of scientific studies for many years. While the history of this necropolis can be traced back thousands of years, there are still countless unsolved secrets that need to be explained in this area. Just a few months ago, a team of scientists was excavating the site when they made one of the most important historical discoveries in recent years. They came across a grave that had been forgotten by time. When they examined the grave, they realized that it was unlike anything they'd ever seen before. That's because the grave seemed to have been placed there around 4,200 years ago and belonged to a woman who, according to historians, never existed. After researching the grave and piecing together the story of who they found inside, they realized that the body belonged to a woman who's believed to have been the third wife of King Teti. At this point, researchers only knew of just 2 wives that King Teti had claimed. However, they were now tasked with rewriting history to include the story of a third wife that no one knew existed. The inscriptions that were found on the grave indicated that the woman would have gone by the name Queen Nate. However, her grave would not be the only shocking discovery found in Saqqara. In February of 2021, a team of researchers made an even more bizarre discovery when they found 16 other burial chambers that had been forgotten to time. Inside of these chambers, they removed the wooden coffins of at least 100 people, with each of these coffins being hand-carved with unique inscriptions. Even stranger than this, they realized that most of the mummies inside of these coffins had been buried with golden tongues placed in their mouths. At the time, it was the belief of the ancients that having a golden tongue placed in your mouth would allow you to speak in the afterlife. Even stranger, the researchers found a hoard of death masks, grave statues, and amulets, and decided that these must have belonged to an ancient cult that was fixated on death and the afterlife. To top this off, they even found a book that was simply referred to as the Book of the Dead. The inscription of this book explained various ways that a soul would be able to find its way into the afterlife. What's even more interesting is that this book was written by a mortal, someone who's never ventured into the afterlife. How they managed to know so much about the forbidden realm is unknown. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos.